before we get on with tonight's show, I want to take a moment to say this. On behalf of me, Angela, and everyone here at the Dark Dialogue Podcast Network, happy holidays to every single one of you. However you're spending this season, whether that's surrounded by family, chosen family, friends, or just getting through it one day at a time, we're genuinely grateful that you choose to spend some of that time here with us. These stories matter because you listen, because you care, and because you keep these conversations alive. As we close out this year, I also want to invite you to join us for something special. On New Year's night, we're going live with a Dark Dialogue live show. It's a chance to hang out together in real time. We talk about the cases, the stories, the strange and the serious, and look ahead at what's coming next for the network in the year ahead. No edits, no polish, just real conversation live. If you want to join us, you can find all of the details and the live stream link right now at darkdialogue.com/live. You can set a reminder, bookmark it, and jump in with us when we go live. So wherever you're listening from, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting independent storytelling, and we hope you'll ring in the new year with us live. From all of us here at Dark Dialogue, happy holidays, take care of each other, and keep the dialogue alive. Welcome back to Dark Dialogue Unraveled Truths, the show where we take true crime documentaries apart piece by piece, not to recap them, but to question them. Today we're diving into Making a Murderer, starting at the beginning. How many episodes we get through depends on where the conversation takes us, because this series isn't something that you can rush, it's not something that we script, and it's definitely not something that you should take at face value. We're going to talk about what the documentary shows you, what it emphasizes, what it leaves out, and how narrative choices shape public opinion long before the facts are fully understood. This isn't a verdict and it's not a defense, it's just an examination. If you enjoy this kind of deep dive documentary analysis, make sure that you're following the show so you don't miss future episodes of Unraveled Truths. And as always, you can support the work through Dark Dialogue if you choose. But for now, let's get into it. Let's unravel Making a Murderer.
That should be one of my disclaimers. Don't take at face value.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
So, you have kind of just started watching this show, right? Making a Murderer. It's a Netflix documentary for those that have not seen it. It's on Netflix. I don't remember exactly when it came
seasons, isn't there? Because I feel like season 2 is a different murderer.
No.
It's not? Okay.
No, it's a different lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Same case.
Haven't gotten that far.
Different lawyer.
You could tell.
So, yeah. You're just kind of started, right? This
yeah.
Is the first.
Well, so I started it months ago when you told me to. And I don't remember what happened because when I went back to watch it, a few, the little Netflix, the little red line that says you've watched it.
Yeah.
I had a few and I was like, okay, I did start this. Why doesn't any of it seem familiar? And by the second episode, it started to seem familiar, but I did have to go back. Because as we all know, I'm weird. And if I consume anything in between us talking about it, then I forget. There's not enough room in my brain for it.
That makes sense.
It pushes something out. It's like Dreamcatcher. You have to get rid of...
You got to get rid of stuff so it'll fit.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the lyrics to Blue Bayou so you remember all the other stuff.
Yeah. So the documentary came out in 2015. And...
Oh, I am late to the bus, aren't I?
Yeah, pretty late.
Yeah, a little bit late.
It actually premiered yesterday, December 18th. In 2015.
Oh.
And it's one of the reasons that it hit so big.
How fitting that I rewatched some of it yesterday.
Because it hit right when everybody was home on Christmas break and everything. And so everybody just binge watched this freaking thing. And holy crap, did it get big.
It was kind of like, the Tiger King in 2020 almost broke the internet because everybody was home for COVID and they all binge watched Tiger King.
Oh, yeah, that
I
makes
haven't
sense.
finished that yet either, so I don't know much about it. But.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest, honestly. But so, episode 1 of Making a Murderer, it starts out with, Steven Avery. He's this guy, he's in prison. He just did 18 years in prison for the 1985 sexual assault of Penny Bernstein.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2003, he was exonerated. DNA evidence came out proving that he definitely was not the guy that assaulted her. And so episode 1 really kind of focuses on that whole aspect. His previous 1985 conviction, the DNA results that exonerated him coming home. He's this big teddy bear, kind of a friggin' moron with this big ass stupid looking beard. And
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
He needed a brush bad.
He needed
I was
something.
definitely judging.
Yeah. So I guess first of all, what were your thoughts on episode 1? All of that shit.
Honestly, it could have started better. Because I think I was telling you this the other day. I feel like I missed an episode. It just started.
Yeah.
Like, not who are we talking about? What's going on? It just
dove right into it.
Threw me into the deep end.
Yep.
And I was like, I literally went back and said, did I miss an episode? And I hadn't. So I don't like how it started. Netflix people.
Well, it actually was, Netflix definitely was very instrumental in the show, but it was a lawyer.
Yeah.
And she was riding a subway train. Did it go through this in the actual series?
So he's not yet, not where I'm at.
So she is a lawyer or a law student. I can't remember if I don't think she had passed the bar yet. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She was at least a law student and living in New York and riding the train, and I was reading an article in the New York Times, I think, about the Steven Avery case, and she just decided, this is my new calling. I'm going to be a documentary filmmaker. Travel her ass to Wisconsin, started this whole big shit show with her partner, whatever they are.
Okay.
And they are the two women that produced this crap.
Well, we know how John feels. End of story.
Yes. So one of the things that is discussed that I have a big problem with is discussed in episode 1 is they kind of go through his criminal background.
Yeah.
And how he was really not that bad of a guy. He broke
him a lot on his just having his last name. Like,
yeah,
Avery's a bad.
He was an Avery.
Yeah.
And he was picked on by the police. They picked on him.
And his cousins picked on him.
And he really didn't do anything all that serious. I think he broke into a bar and stole $14 worth of quarters.
Yeah.
And I don't know, threw a cat in a fire. Nothing, no big deal.
To them, threw it over.
Oh, yeah. Threw a cat over a fire. And so diving right in on that bunch of bullshit, what Making a Murderer conveniently leaves out is Steven Avery. And the other thing that it does is he fell in with the wrong group of people. They're the ones that got him to rob the bar. They're the ones that got him to throw the cat over the fire.
It was like them having their cake and eating it too, though. He either was ostracized and no one talked about him to him or hung out with him, but yet he fell in a crowd of wrong people. Pick one. You can't have them both. He can't be alone and with people at the same time.
So it's really important to know. We'll talk about the bar break-in first.
Okay.
Start with, the son of a bitch broke into the bar 3 times. The first
they
time...
made him do it all 3 times.
The first time, he was completely alone. Broke the window and broke in and stole some shit.
Same bar?
Same bar.
Okay.
Then the bar owner patched up the window with a piece of cardboard.
Aww.
And Avery and his friend went back, tore the cardboard off, broke in again. And if I remember correctly, that time they stole quite a bit of alcohol, some money, and I don't think that they destroyed the place too bad that time. And then the third time they broke in, the bar owner had patched the window with a piece of plywood.
Oh my gosh, bar owner.
I can't blame the guy. They break in this freaking window. He probably couldn't get somebody to come and fix it. So he did the best thing that he could and screwed up a piece of plywood over it. They come, rip the plywood off, break in again. Avery steals a pizza, cooks it at the place. And then
I did not hear.
Of course not. And then they just absolutely destroy the place. I mean, break shit, throw shit all over the floor, just wreck the freaking bar. And then when his dad, and they don't even touch on this in Making a Murder, I don't think they even mention it. His dad goes up to their place up north in Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin. They have
cabin.
It's just a house, but they call it kind of a cabin or whatever. Mm-hmm. His dad goes up there, sees a whole freaking garage full of shit, lawnmowers and all kinds of shit, calls the cops and is like, I got a whole bunch of shit that isn't mine.
I don't own.
So the cops will come to find out he's stolen all this shit from neighbors.
Oh, geez.
And I think if memory serves me correctly, him and his wife went on their honeymoon and he stole a bunch of shit while they were on their honeymoon. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy is a freaking pile of shit, thieving bastard. No doubt about it. Okay. But they leave all of that out conveniently in Making a Murderer.
Yeah.
Second part.
You get to feel bad for him a lot.
Oh, yeah, because he's so picked on.
I feel bad for his parents, though. Was that warranted?
No. His dad's a total piece of shit. His dad is a total piece of shit. I feel bad for his brothers and his sister, but I don't feel bad.
No, I didn't get that feeling from his sister. I thought she was a little.
Oh no, he beat the piss out of her.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, and that you won't.
These are things I don't know.
Well, these are things that you won't know because Making a Murderer does not cover any of it because it's not a documentary at all. It's absolute bullshit. Just a figment of these two women's imagination is essentially what this shit is.
Like, did they have a crush on him or something? Why did they him so wonderfully?
Well, honestly, what I think happened, and this is my opinion, I am just guessing at this.
Yeah, this is our opinions, people.
But what I think happened is this chick saw this article, and she decided that this guy was, innocent, and they were going out to do this story on this innocent man. And then the whole Teresa Halbach thing happened, and their whole idea would go out the window if he was guilty. And so they just decided to whitewash the whole thing and turn it into the cops are attacking this guy.
Yeah.
And so, and like the cat thing is another perfect example of that. Making a Murderer makes it sound like, you said, he threw a cat over a fire and got busted for cruelty to animals. What happened was he chased this cat around, caught it, covered it in gasoline, and threw it in the freaking fire.
When you said it was the family cat.
Yeah, it was his family. Yeah, it was the family cat.
Son of a...
And then the poor damn thing jumped out of the fire like any animal is going to do.
Scattering for its...
And this son of a bitch catches it, pours more gas on it, and throws it back in the fire to die. I mean, that is cruelty beyond.
It's a special place in hell, dude.
Well, and it's ironically part of the homicidal triad that we learn about from freaking the FBI that, serial killers oftentimes are cruel to animals.
Right.
So, and that is completely whitewashed by Making a Murderer. They make it...
It's all in good fun. We're all around the campfire.
Yeah, they make it seem like it was a couple of teenagers doing dumb shit. The guy was married at this point. He's no freaking teenager. He's a grown-ass man, and he's an evil son of a bitch that is cruel as hell. I can't even imagine trying to kill any animal by throwing it in a freaking fire covered in gasoline. I mean, that is just evil.
Yeah.
Evil. And so it is absolutely bullshit the way that they covered that.
Okay.
And then, they make it seem like in this 1985 sexual assault investigation that deputies decided right away.
Yeah.
It was absolutely Steven Avery.
The guy had a picture of him before he drew it.
Yeah, they made it all up and convinced but they really compress like decades of paperwork and shit into this, I don't know, to make it just seem like the cops just didn't like this guy. First of all, the guy is a total piece of shit. He's a total piece of shit. And it's not that unusual when you're a total piece of shit and you have been in countless amounts of trouble, burglaries and the shit with his cousin, and you've been in all this freaking trouble, and it's not that unusual that the cops look at you. It's not that strange. And then the victim identified him. So was it a wrongful identification? Did the cops do anything wrong? Potentially, maybe. I don't know enough about that 1985 case to really come down one way or the other. I just know it is not that clear-cut and simple. And it's not like you've got this teenage kid that's part of the wrong family that the cops should just decide they're going to torment.
Yeah.
The son of a bitch was on the cops' radar because he was a criminal. Period. What else you got to say about that?
I don't know that I have any more else to say about that. It does tug at the heartstrings and make you want to believe that he's just picked on.
Yeah, it does. And then they also talk about this issue with his cousin.
Yeah.
And she is married to law enforcement and she just doesn't like him. And so she's going to go after him, and it's all made up, and it's only because she has an axe to grind against poor Steven Avery, who apparently everybody in the world picks on.
But isn't his uncle in law enforcement too?
Yes, his uncle was a sheriff's deputy. Okay. But that's not that important, apparently.
No, no one cares, yeah.
But interestingly, she is married to like a reserve officer. He's not even like a full-time officer. He's like a reserve officer. They call him in when they need some extra help type of shit.
Gotcha.
But they completely leave out the whole freaking story. So having watched it without knowing any of the other stuff, what is your perspective on the whole Sandra Morris thing? That's his cousin, Sandra Morris. And what is your take on that whole thing?
Well, honestly, to me, I thought it was an equal hate thing. Like they both just equally hated each other. And it was to see who could just do more damage to the other is what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't think, in all honesty, the very first time hearing the stories, I didn't think either one of them was more a victim than the other one.
Fair enough, because I think that's how it's designed to make you think. So the story that Making a Murderer portrays is exactly what you said. These two cousins don't like each other. They're fighting with each other. He came out with a rifle one time, and she said that he was having sex on the front lawn with his wife. And right. Okay. Actual story. First of all, she never said anything about him having sex on the lawn. That was a neighbor. And Making a Murderer conveniently edited the testimony to make it sound like it came from her. But actually, during that deposition, the attorney asked her about it, and she was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I never said this.
Let me finish the conversation, he says.
But the actual whole conversation was, I didn't say that. This wasn't me. And then the lawyer realizes, oh yeah, this is attributed to a neighbor. It's not attributed to you. All that shit's left out of Making a Murderer. They selectively edit it to make it sound like she made this claim and now she's lying about it.
Right.
That is not at all what happened. Right. She didn't make the claim, and she pointed that shit out during the deposition. Second tiny little thing that I think is important to discuss, he got in his vehicle, chased her down the road, ran into the back of her car, pushed her off the road, jumped out with a gun, and attempted to kidnap her. At which point she begged, please don't. I have my daughter on the front seat. Let me take my daughter to my parents' house and then I'll go anywhere with you that you want me to go. But, I can't leave my daughter here on the front seat to freeze to death.
Yeah.
And then Avery, who, according to Making a Murderer, always fesses up to everything he's ever done. Yeah. He runs home as fast as he can freaking go, puts the gun under his kids' bed, strips down, crawls into bed. The cops come because obviously Sandra Morris went to her dad's house and was like, this just happened. And dad was like, call the cops.
Yeah.
So the cops show up at Steven Avery's house and he comes to the door. I just woke up. What do you need?
Yeah.
The cop was pretty freaking heads up and he reaches over and puts his hand on the hood of the car, which is warm as shit because Avery just got back home. And then finally Avery, once he's busted, then he finally admits what he did.
Right.
Another big part to talk about when it comes to that whole Sandra Morris thing, Avery didn't do 18 years in prison because he was wrongfully convicted for a 1985 rape. Avery did 12 years in prison because he was wrongfully convicted for a 1985 rape.
Okay.
He did 6 years in prison for the armed assault on his freaking cousin that he was found guilty of and sentenced to 6 years in prison for.
Gotcha.
So Making a Murderer leaves all that shit out. They make it seem, and that does become important when we get to the whole lawsuit and the whole reason that the cops are going to, frame him for murder, because the whole lawsuit is based on $1 billion a year for 18 years plus $18 million in punitive damages, essentially.
I think it was like 35 or 32.
36 million.
36 million.
And so, but in truth, only 12 years of that would have applied in the lawsuit because only 12 years of it was because he was wrongfully convicted. He was rightfully convicted for
the other thing.
Armed kidnapping. And who the hell knows what would have happened if she wouldn't have had her kid with her and been able to talk him out. I think he'd have murdered her.
You think so?
I think he would have likely murdered her. I mean, why else do you kidnap somebody at gunpoint? Because you want to take them out to dinner?
What would have been... I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
Absolutely. That's what this is about.
Why would he have wanted to kill her? I mean...
Because he's a freaking psychopath.
Well...
That kills people.
You're definitely going to get caught if you're killing a family member.
You're definitely going to get caught if you kill a woman that comes to your house to take pictures of your vehicle.
I hadn't gotten that far yet.
This son of a bitch does not think ahead.
Okay.
He is the quintessential criminal mind that is too stupid to really plan. He's not like what would be described as a highly organized offender. He reacts on emotion and just does shit because he feels like it's the same thing with like breaking into the bar, burning the cat alive.
I'm going to be accused, so I might as well just do it because they're always saying he's an Avery.
I don't think this shit ever happened.
Okay.
They said he's guilty because he freaking breaks into places and steals shit everywhere he goes. The son of a bitch can't even go on a honeymoon without breaking into some place and stealing shit. So that's what I think.
I don't know if it matters, but where is that wife now? I know that he said some pretty shitty things to her.
Oh God, you don't even know the half of it.
No, I know what they allowed us to know.
So another thing that Making a Murderer does not even touch on is the fact that he was abusing his kids when they would come and visit him in prison. And so the judge barred them from from having to go see him because the kids testified that he'd pinch them and do all this mean shit to them when they went to visit him. And so the judge said, well, you don't have to go anymore. And so the wife took the kids and bailed. And the kids grew up and they had nothing to do with him. The only kid that had anything to do with him was his daughter, who in episode 1, you see holding his hand when they leave the jail and shit.
And he's holding her baby or something too?
I don't know whose kid that was, honestly. Okay. I don't know. But then she ends up not having a shitting thing to do with him by the time it's all over. She spends a little bit of time with him, and then she doesn't have anything to do with him either.
Right.
So none of his kids have anything to do with him. That wife got the hell out of there. As far as, you know, how she lived the rest of her life and stuff, I have no clue. I just know that she ran far as she freaking could from Steven Avery and stayed the hell away from the psychopath. So then, as we get to kind of the tail end, was there anything else that we haven't covered that was covered in episode 1?
Nothing that's screaming to me. It should scream to you a little better than it.
Yeah, I mean, episode 1 wasn't just full of a whole bunch of shit, because the primary focus on it...
Weird. It left me just confused.
Yeah, the primary focus on it was the 1985 conviction and the wrongful conviction and all that. So, like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time looking into that whole aspect. And I don't know that there's a lot of reason to, because he was exonerated. Like, there's no doubt. The guy did not commit the rape. And I do, you know, I mean, the witnesses testified that he was with them. He was he was helping his family pour concrete. So he was with the family all day long. And then a little while after that, his wife and him like took off and went to like Madison, I think, and did some shopping, got some gas, shit like that. And then he came home, and then he spent the rest of the night with his brother hanging drywall and in a house. And so it wasn't like the jury didn't hear from the witnesses. It just didn't impact them. They found him guilty.
Yeah.
That's more on the jurors than it is on the prosecutors, in my opinion. The jurors found the witness testimony more compelling than Avery's friends and family. And is that right? No, the guy was wrongfully convicted. He was exonerated. He should have never gone to prison for that. And if the story ended there, then I would be all on Steven Avery's side as far as that aspect goes. Okay. The guy's, he's still a piece of shit. I don't think he could have lived in society without ending up back in prison, because he's one of those people. So then it kind of starts to foreshadow the conspiracy a little bit, talk a little bit about the Halbach case.
Yeah.
It ends with connecting his civil suit that he's going to be suing for to the 85 case and this new apparent murder charge, which involves a young lady by the name of Teresa Halbach. And it kind of invites the audience to see the future homicide investigation as a retaliation or damage control by this corrupt
so they don't
system.
Have to pay the money, yeah.
Right. And so, you know, I mean, I think that as we kind of get in this and kind of discuss all of it, I do think that you're going to start to see that it's very dishonest what making a murderer does.
Okay.
And so then we go in. I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about episode 1. That's kind of where it ends. You know, there's not a lot of countering, like I said, just because it's mostly about shit that's already been proven to be false.
Right.
So then we start in episode 2, and that's kind of his life after he was exonerated, and gets into his civil rights lawsuit and this $36 million lawsuit where he's going to sue for, like I said, $1 million a year for all 18 years, and then punitive damages at $18 million. So he's guaranteed $36 million.
Yeah.
And I mean, first of all, that just isn't how shit works. I mean, you can sue for $7 billion if you want, but that does not mean that you're going to get $7 billion. So episode 2 really kind of dives into his release a little bit more, but more importantly, it dives into like the public apologies, the Senate getting involved and you know, drafting like the Avery bill, and you know, it dives big time into the civil suit against Manitowoc County.
What is that wrongful act? Something, those people that want
what they were
The
drafting.
wrongfully accused. No, that group of people, the wrongfully accused.
Oh, the Innocence Project.
Thank you.
Yeah, Innocence Project, which is a great organization. It really freaking is. And they've gotten multiple people off of death row that were not guilty.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I mean, Avery was kind of made the poster child for the Innocence Project. He was put on their website. He was invited to all these functions. He really became a local celebrity.
A hood ornament, though, and a lot of the things he was just sitting in the background. They just wanted him there.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how it always is. But you know, he really did become like this local celebrity person, and then that's going to play into some other parts as we kind of go through the series a little bit. But I do want to say that, first of all, just to reiterate, like I said, you can sue for anything you want to.
Yeah.
But at that time, and even now, exonerees are not getting that kind of money. Like, there's been multiple exonerees all over the country that have been found not guilty, released from prison, and they're not getting...
They just don't get anything.
They don't get anything, or what, you know, I think a pretty standard that I have seen is roughly $100,000 a year, essentially replacing a good income that they could have made during that period of time, but not making them rich. So they're saying, you know, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year. That's
Sometimes
typically
they tack on a little bit more for pain and suffering.
Yeah, but you're still not getting $1 million a year plus another $18 million in punitive damages. And Making a Murder frames this as though it's a foregone conclusion and he's only weeks away from it. Like, if he can just keep his nose clean for a week, he's going to get a $36 million check. Well, anybody that knows anything about lawsuits knows it don't work that freaking quick. He had just filed suit. It was years before he was going to collect that money. It was not weeks. If
he was going to collect it.
If he won, it would have been years. And he was going to have to prove in a court of law that the sheriff's department conspired against him to wrongfully convict him. They knew he was innocent, and they that's an extraordinarily difficult case to prove. And I don't think there's any way in hell that he would have been able to. But even if he was, it was years away. He was not a week away from getting $36 million. I just think it's important that we talk about that. But again, with episode 2, there's not a shit ton of stuff that comes in. I think one really important thing that comes in on episode 2 is Andy Colburn's receives this call from somebody that says, we have a prisoner in our facility that committed a crime that somebody in your facility is in jail for. And Andy Colburn didn't do anything. And then he made a statement. Was years and years later.
My files? Is that what you're getting at?
No, that was the prosecutor.
Okay.
No, Andy Colburn is the deputy, and he receives this phone call saying from another facility saying that they have somebody in their jail basically confessing to a crime that somebody in Manitowoc County is in jail for.
Okay.
And they really frame Andy Colburn as a villain here. And then he's also going to be then one of the key players in framing Steven Avery for this murder because he is, quote unquote, named in the lawsuit.
Okay.
So they really paint him as like this worthless pile of shit. Well, I think it's really important to note that Andy Colburn, first of all, do you know where Andy Colburn was in 1985 during the whole wrongful conviction of Steven Avery, all of the shit that he is going to conspire against Steven Avery for? Do you know where he was at that time?
I want to give you a really sarcastic answer, but I shouldn't.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, in the words of Cliff Clavin, he was not in my kitchen.
Yeah. The guy was I'm pretty sure he was Navy, and he wasn't even in this country at the time. He sure as the shit wasn't a deputy for Manitowoc County. He wasn't even here. But yet he's conspiring. He's going to conspire to commit murder and frame it on somebody else.
John.
So that's really super interesting, I thought, because Making a Murderer goes out of their way to cast Andy Colburn as the big villain.
Right.
And as you watch the rest of the series, you're going to really see how much they do that shit. And it's absolutely wrong. But it's important to note that in 1993, when this call, or the early 90s, I'm pretty sure it was 1993, when this call supposedly came through, Andy Colburn wasn't a sworn deputy. In Wisconsin, jailers aren't sworn deputies. So he was just working in the jail. And part of working in the jail, and it's the same thing in every jail, it's the same thing in the jail here as anywhere else. A lot of the times, calls go to them. He was in the control room at the jail, and he received this phone call, and this guy told him this. And so Andy Colburn said, "You probably want to talk to a detective about this," and forwarded the call to the deputy, or to the detective. And then they crucify him because he never wrote a report. Son of a bitch. If you wrote a report on every freaking call that you get when you're working in a place that gets, Andy Colburn would go on to say that during a 4-hour period, he would probably transfer like 20 to 30 calls.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to write a report on every one of those?
Apparently he should have been.
He passed it on to the detective, which is exactly what he should have done. If the ball was dropped, it was dropped by the detective. It was not dropped by Andy Colburn. And so
you don't stand up for police people if they don't deserve it. So
no, I don't. I'm happy to crucify them. So, and then the RAV4 is found on Avery's salvage yard property by a volunteer, Pam of God, who she become known of because...
And they made it look so fast.
Yeah. Like she just walked in and walked straight up to this car. That is not how it happened at all, by the way. Her and her daughter searched a line of cars that made perfect sense as they worked their way across the yard. And then it was very logical for them to move from that line of cars to these cars that were parked up on the hill right there. And so when you really look at how the search transpired, it's not that weird.
Yeah.
But she gets dragged through the mud because she was a private investigator. Obviously, police love private investigators, except ironically, when you're acting as a private investigator, then they look down their noses at you and they don't want anything to do with you. But if they're framing somebody for murder, then you're their best friend and they will immediately go to a private investigator to help you.
Yes.
And the one problem that I have with this whole thing is especially the whole Pam of God thing. And I don't think they refer to her as that in Making a Murderer, but
no, I don't remember that.
That's what many of the advocates for Steven Avery have started to call her as Pam of God, because on the stand, she says that she believes God led her to the RAV4. So now she's known as Pam of God. And the whole thing that you have to reconcile is Pam of God is, I think, Teresa's aunt. And so you have to believe that Teresa's aunt either was involved in her murder or was told of her murder and convinced to cover it up and frame an innocent man for it. So how do you reconcile that one?
Yeah.
It's not like Pam is listed in the lawsuit. It's not like Pam has anything to gain from framing Steven Avery.
Right.
So why exactly would Pam get on board with framing him and helping the sheriff's office?
No.
It makes no logical freaking sense. None. And then I think it's also I think they start to lead in episode 2, where they start to talk about human remains being found on the Avery property. And And then they really kind of start crafting this narrative that the cops planted this whole thing.
Because he couldn't have gotten a bonfire hot enough.
Right. Yeah, he could have never gotten a bonfire hot enough. And then, depending on which story you want to believe that Avery told, he either did or didn't have a fire that night, because he told multiple stories and they changed as evidence was found. It's very interesting how that works.
Mm-hmm.
How, as soon as they discover evidence that he had a fire, then all of a sudden he had a fire.
I did have a fire.
It was actually in a jail call that he was talking to his sister, and he said, I didn't have a fire that night. I don't know if they played it in episode 1 or 2, but it's in the series. And he says, I didn't have a fire that night. And she's like, yeah, you did. Maybe it isn't in Making a Murderer. But anyway, it happened. And he says, I never had a fire on that night. And she was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you did, because when I came home, there was a big fire. And then he immediately says, then Brendan was with me.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting how he's very good at this bullshit.
Okay.
So then there's also this emerging narrative of this law enforcement conflict of interest in the fact that Manitowoc County officers, particularly Lincoln Colburn, were present at key search moments despite supposedly recusing themselves from the case and saying they're not going to have anything to do with it. So let me just ask you a question.
Shoot.
You are an investigator and you decide that you're going to murder somebody. Do you murder them and then say, I can't investigate this, I need to bring in a third party to investigate it? Or do you investigate it yourself?
I investigate it myself.
Yeah, damn straight you investigate it yourself, because if they're going to want to plant evidence, why in the hell?
The narrative, yeah.
Why the hell would they bring in Calumet County and say, you guys take the lead on this?
Yeah.
Because
to babysit is, I believe, the words they used.
And that's pretty much what it was. They didn't. So Calumet definitely led the investigation, but at no time did Manitowoc say, we're going to have nothing to do with this. It's their county.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they're going to be involved. And everybody on the free Steven Avery side of things, everybody treats Manitowoc and Calumet County as though they're inner city New York police departments. And they're not. They're tiny. It's kind of like Wyoming. You don't have the resources to take over a huge investigation like this while still taking care of your own county.
Right.
They don't have tons and tons of officers that they can commit to this. They don't have a shit ton of forensic analysis. They don't have a bunch of crime scene technicians that they can throw at this. They have to be able to use not only Manitowoc County, they also brought in tons of officers from the Wisconsin State Police, who apparently are also in on the conspiracy.
Yeah, everybody is.
Then they bring in the Wisconsin DCI, and they're all in on the conspiracy as well, apparently. So
there was a giant memo sent out to be.
Oh, there had to have been, because you have the DNA technician that's involved in it. I mean, if you listen to the lawyers, which I think it's Bunting that says, you don't need a whole police force. All you need is one officer, maybe two, and they can do this. I mean, it's one of the dumbest freaking things, but he's a defense attorney, so whatever. I'm surprised, honestly, that defense attorneys decided to go on this rabbit hole trail with Steven Avery. I think the only reason they did is they were kind of locked into it by Steven Avery, because he'd already been talking to the press and saying that he was being framed. And so
between your legs or keep fighting.
Or you just keep going. And I think that's probably what happened. I don't have a shit ton of respect for these two freaking assholes. Not because they defended Steven Avery. I firmly believe, I've said it before, I'll say it a million more times, I believe that everybody deserves a quality defense. And I have no problem with defense attorneys if they're honest I have no problem with defense attorneys. The problem I have with these two clowns is the tour they went on after Making a Murderer, which you might not know about, but
I do not.
His two defense attorneys literally Strang and Bunting toured the country on this Making a Murderer speaking tour where they went all over talking about this case, becoming giant freaking social media stars and doing all this shit. I mean, it's total bullshit. And they took this case and they have done all of this stuff to get their name out there, and that's pretty much it. So I have no respect for them. It's not like they took the case because it was the right thing to do. It wasn't like they took the case because here's this innocent man that's being railroaded. No, he had to settle the $36 million lawsuit for $450,000, which is probably about all he was going to get anyway.
Yeah.
So that he could pay them to defend him. So they're not working pro bono. They're not working out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, no.
They're working for the money, just like, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
I mean, it's bread and butter.
But, I mean, they deserve to be paid for their work, and I have no problem with that. I have a big problem with the whole speaking tour that they did after the fact to capitalize on the fact that Making a Murderer was a huge success and they wanted some of that bread. I have a big problem with that. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of where episode 2, that's kind of where it leaves off, is just setting the scene that Lincoln Colburn are these dirty cops that are framing this poor innocent man who's picked on by everybody. And that's kind of where it ends. So do you want to...
He wants to get out and get married.
Yeah, that's all he wants to do. Get out, get married for the 75th time. How this guy ends up with the women that he ends up with is beyond me. Because he has had, like the one girlfriend that he had after he was in prison. Mm-hmm. She's a pretty attractive woman. She was married to a cop and then got divorced from the cop and then was going to marry Steven Avery. And then that whole relationship fell apart.
The DUI one? Or she was in jail for the DUI one?
No. That was his girlfriend during Making a Murderer.
Okay.
After Making a Murderer, he's sentenced to prison, and then this woman falls in love with him. He's had more girlfriends than you can count since he's been in prison.
Goodness sake.
All these, what John Douglas would call nutcases, have gone after him because he's so freaking famous and popular. And even this chick who, like I said, she's an attractive woman, but she even said, if they make a season 2, I'm going to be in it.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he goes nuts on her, threatens to murder her, all this shit. And so she ends up getting rid of him too. This is pretty much how every one of his relationships.
Be in it, because then she'll want to tell her story.
Well, she is in it. She's in season 2.
Okay.
But they frame her as a lunatic for sure. And I'm not saying she's not, because I think you gotta be kind of a lunatic to marry or want to marry a convicted murderer. And with some rare exceptions, like Lori in the West Memphis 3 case, I think that was legit, but it's rare. It's super rare. Most of them are complete nutcases that I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I've never understood it. I never will understand it. I don't pretend to understand it.
Right.
It's weird as shit. So do we want to push through episode 3, or do we want to end this episode here and we can discuss 3, 4 in the next one?
You can keep going.
Okay, we'll do one more episode. So episode 3 kind of centers on Avery's pre-trial and the media framing and, his defense team being put together, and it begins to introduce Brendan Dassey's involvement, and it casts both of the accused, Brendan and Steven, as under-resourced and against a very powerful and biased system.
Yeah.
So, they definitely dive into the trial by the press thing, and, that really emphasizes the press conference by Sheriff Pagel and DA Kent Kratz.
15, stop watching now.
this might be one of the only places I agree with making a murder.
No.
That was one of the dumbest. And I think Ken Kratz is a total piece of shit. I don't like the guy. I don't know that they cover it in Making a Murder, but he ended up, after this case, like a sexual assault victim was working with him, and he ends up sending her like a bunch of dirty texts and shit like that. It all comes out. I think he's fired. His career is destroyed. And he comes out and says, I'm a sex addict, and the whole bullshit. I don't like the guy. I think he's a total piece of shit. And this decision to have a press conference and go over all of the horrendous details of this crime, whether it was true or not true, is absolutely freaking disgusting. And I cannot support it. I don't agree with it. I think it was absolutely wrong. I think that it's a travesty that a prosecutor would do some shit like that.
Yep.
So you're not going to hear me, backing up Ken Kratz for that dumbass move, because it was very stupid and it was prejudicial. In my opinion, it was very prejudicial. It made it very difficult to then get an unbiased jury in this case. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And obviously, all of that information is going to come out. He didn't disclose anything that was secret because it's going to be in the charging documents, which are public record. So any good reporter is going to be able to go dig those up and shit. A lot of the time, a reporter, an editorial staff for a newspaper or a news agency will make a decision to temper some of those facts and present them in not such a freaking gory fashion.
Yeah.
But that's up to them.
What 14-year-olds can be like, oh, I'm not 15 yet, I'm going to stop watching.
Oh, exactly. Is all that's going to do is
make you watch it more.
It's going to pretty much ensure that they watch it. But like I was saying, any news agency, that's their right. They can do whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah.
And if they want to come out and print all the gory details on the front page of their paper or lead the nightly news with all the gory, that's up to them. That's their decision. They can make that. The fact that a prosecutor did that shit, I think is absolutely wrong. So I agree that he's a dumbass, but it definitely downplays the extent to which the defense team also used the media very selectively. And they ran to the press conference like every day after court. They went from the courtroom down to run and stand at a podium and then tell the press everything that they had discovered and everything. So they frame it like the prosecution did this terrible thing, but the defense did exactly the same kind of bullshit. Exactly. And then, it talks about Strang and Budding, his two defense attorneys, and it really frames them as being very thoughtful, very principled, almost heroic, and how they carefully break down the problems with the state's case, and they raise this whole thing of planting the evidence and the contamination issues around the RAV4 key and the blood vial and the bullet, which some of that we'll get to in later episodes, but it's coming.
The blood vial bothers me. I'm just going to say that outright.
Well, we're going to talk about that next. So, I think that it really, the series really minimizes the weaknesses in the defense theories. There was really a lack of any coherent alternative suspect narrative at all. And this idea that they say you don't have to believe that the sheriff's office killed Teresa in order to, how do you not? How do you not? If you don't believe that the sheriff's office killed Teresa Halbach, then you have to believe that somebody else did. Oh no, it gets better. You have to believe that a girl that Steven Avery called to come to his house that day, coincidentally, gets murdered by a completely unrelated person. Then you have to believe that the sheriff's office, not only the sheriff's office, a certain deputy or a certain deputy in the sheriff's office happens to discover the body, who is also involved in this lawsuit, who then decides instantaneously, I am going to take this body and I am going to use her body to frame. That line of coincidences is absurd. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. You have to believe that the sheriff's department and the county, we'll say the county, murdered an innocent young girl strictly to frame Steven Avery.
Steven Avery, yeah.
And the sheriff at the time said, and he got all kinds of shit for this, but he's absolutely right when he said it would be easier just to kill Steven Avery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he did get a lot of shit for that.
Why wouldn't you, though? He's absolutely right. If this guy's going to sue us and we want to make him go away and we're willing to commit murder to do it, then
make it look like an accident.
Just kill him.
Yeah.
Why would you kill this innocent girl and frame him
that everybody loved
and take the chance that the jury's going to find him not guilty when you can just kill him and be done with it? I think it was a very good point from the sheriff. I don't think he was talking out of his ass. And I just think that it's the most logical thing for them to have done. Otherwise, like I said, you have no options. You have got to believe that the county murdered this girl strictly to frame Steven Avery. Because if you believe...
And how did they choose her?
Right. How did they choose her? They had to have been monitoring his phone calls to know that she was coming to his house.
Pictures, so she's a good one. Yeah.
And although they don't show this shit in Making a Murderer at all. But it's very interesting to note that before Steven's girlfriend Jody was put in jail for drunk driving,
DUI, yeah,
he called Teresa once to come out and take a picture of the car. And then right after Jody goes to jail, he's calling her all the time. I think he called her like 5 or 6 times before the last time. It's very interesting how his woman not being there with him completely changed his behavior. And he starts calling Teresa Halbach to come out all the freaking time. And they don't really touch on the fact that he freaking creeped her out when he came to the door naked with just a towel on, and then he had like some kind of like a board on his wall with like women's shit on it, like women, and said, "Don't worry, you're going to be on there too one day."
Oh, I did not hear that.
Of course not. And so she goes to her friends and she's like, "He really creeps me out." And her friends were like, "Don't go back there." And then, but she is a responsible young woman
doing her job,
and her job is sending her out there. And so she goes, but we'll get to all that when we get to those episodes. So
getting excited.
I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll leave it there and we'll talk about at the very end of episode 3, they introduce the blood vial and the planted evidence.
Yeah.
And so...
But I was left with a big question.
Yeah, what?
And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun because I can't remember what episode it was. But where would all the blood in the bedroom have been? Because there wasn't. Like, I'm still concerned about that. The story that Brendan said...
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Where's all the blood?
We'll get to that when we get to those episodes because it's not this one.
So I did jump. Okay.
Yeah. But this one, we're talking about the blood vial, the discovery of the old blood vial from Avery's 1985 case that was kept in evidence, and it had a punctured stopper, and the tape had been cut that suggests the possibility that someone accessed the stored blood, planted it in Halbach's RAV4 to frame him. And
recorded it in random
places,
patterns that couldn't have happened.
I will say 100% the way that this evidence was handled is absolutely a travesty. It is absolutely freaking ridiculous that this evidence was kept in the county clerk's office, not in an evidence locker, in the county clerk's office, and was just piled on top of each other. And it was an absolute freaking mess.
Difficult to get to.
You got to speak into the mic.
I'm sorry. Didn't seem that difficult to get to.
No, I mean, it was just in the clerk's office, like under a desk or something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But
she's just using it as a footstool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the clerk.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Okay.
The clerk had actually testified that she straightened up the evidence and stuff because it was such a mess. And there was like, I don't know, some big piece that the box couldn't be closed. And so the boxes were just sitting there open. I mean, it's ridiculous. No doubt about it. But that isn't what they focus on. They focus on the fact that this blood vial was punctured in the top.
Yeah, which legit pissed me off.
Well,
on his side, like it made me feel bad for him when I first saw it. I was like, really? Okay.
Until you realize every blood vial is punctured on the top. That's how they get the blood in there.
And I've given blood so much, I should have known that.
Yeah, there's like a sharp needle thing inside the deal that they actually put in your arm. They push the tube into that, which punctures the rubber stopper at the top and allows blood to flow into that. And you know why, and maybe you haven't gotten far enough into the Making a Murderer yet, but you know why the blood vial never comes up again and it never goes anywhere? Well, the reason is because phlebotomists would have come out of the woodwork to testify that every vial of blood has a puncture in the top.
So no wonder when I texted you and said, what? You were like, just wait.
Yeah, because
like, I don't want to wait.
It's absolute bullshit because and you really won't hear it talked about at all. They like set it up like it's this big conspiracy, and then it never goes anywhere. It never goes anywhere with the trial. It never goes anywhere because it was so easy to prove that it was bullshit. And that particular one, I got to say, when I first watched Making a Murderer, I was totally on board with the whole Steven Avery got framed. This is absolute bullshit. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I would be the first one to admit it.
So you knew that I would, and you were excited for like all this bullshittery that I was going to
100%, because that's what it was designed to do, and they do a really good job at it. But when I got to the blood vial part, I was like, oh, this is bullshit. This one I can't buy into. I've seen way too many vials of blood. And of course, I've worked in like a hospital setting and shit. So I've probably seen this more than the average person does. Mm-hmm. But anybody that has like given blood and paid attention would know it's always there. You can't get blood into the vial without puncturing the top. There was nothing strange about that. And so I just thought it was absolutely dishonest for them to present it.
Got really excited calling people about it.
Oh yeah, he was on the phone, right? And there is a puncture right in the top, and I'm sure
very excited about
on the other end of that phone call, which you don't hear. Whoever he was talking to was probably like, yeah, dipshit, there always is. That's how the blood gets in there. It's not like they pull the rubber stopper out and drain your blood into a tube.
Dump it in there.
So anyway, that's the blood vial bullshit that they put. And again, the evidence, I think, was mishandled. I think it was absolutely ridiculous the way it was taken care of. The blood vial thing is bullshit. It goes nowhere. And then in episode 3, they kind of start to introduce Brendan Dassey, and he's introduced as this cognitively impaired teenager that's been drawn into the case. They start showing little clippets of the interrogation footage and hinting.
Yeah, his full IQ is 72, but his conversational IQ was 69.
Right. Yeah, some shit like that. So, it's going to be explored more as we work throughout the season, but this is really planting the little kernels that his confession is the product of suggestion and coercion rather than any kind of reliable events or anything.
You can tell us, Brandon. You can tell us what really happened.
Right. And I gotta say, on this one, I was 100% like, abso-freaking-lutely. This is Jesse Miss Kelly all over again. This is a cognitively impaired kid that really was led into this confession, and the parts that they show you, really, and I don't remember if it's in episode 3 or not, but it will come if it's not, where they say, what did you do with her head? What with the head? What happened with the head?
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm going to come out and say it. Who shot her in the head?
Yeah.
And so they make a really big deal about that and everything. But the problem is when you listen to all of the confession, it's not that clear cut. And I have listened to all of his confessions.
Clever editing there.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the clever. The dishonest editing that occurs in making a murder should be criminal. I mean, it should be freaking criminal what they did, but we'll get there. So, and then that's kind of where episode 3 winds itself down to the end, is planting this seed of Brendan Dassey's coerced confession, this poor dumb kid that the cops railroaded into confessing, and then it kind of comes to an end. So really across the first 3 episodes, it organizes the material that kind of underscores this pattern of bias and conflict of interest, and then this potential corruption of the entire Manitowoc County system, which really kind of invites the viewers, almost forces the viewers to doubt every piece of evidence that the state is going to bring into this case. Like, after you finish episode 3, everything that the state does now is questionable, and you're not going to believe it because they're a bunch of corrupt bastards.
Exactly. I was like, don't know what to think the whole time. Don't know what to think. That was my theme that night.
Yeah. And that's kind of how you go through this whole freaking thing is...
But now that I know it's what they want, I'm pissed in a different way.
Oh, when we get to the trial testimony, you are going to be livid because
you're excited for it. I can see it in your face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If I had it my way, I'd go through the whole freaking thing right now. But we're already over an hour in this episode, and we've only covered 3 episodes. So I believe there's 7 more to go, because I'm pretty sure that's a 10 episode series. There has been a couple of books written about this. Ken Kratz wrote a book. I haven't read it. I don't really give a shit what he has to say. I can't stand the guy, but he did write a book. It's probably pretty interesting. Bunting wrote a book also
because he needs something to tour with.
Well, absolutely, yeah. You gotta make your money somehow, and so and then I don't have his name in front of me, but the sod-off little peckerwood that becomes Dassey's attorney, I'm going to have a lot to say about him because...
Oh, yeah. He tries to fire him, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then finally, the judge discharges him from the case because he freaking really screws up. I can't even believe this shit happened, but that'll come down the road a little bit. So anyway, we leave this with this idea that, and kind of the whole idea behind this Dark Dialogue project of Unraveled Truths is this idea that we have that documentaries are honest and lay out the facts and let the viewer make their own decision. And in reality, documentaries are entertainment pieces that are put together by biased people.
Most, not all.
I would say all.
You would say all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say all are...
I'll let you say what you want to say.
...are put together by a person that has a bias one way or the other, and right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not saying that all documentaries are geared towards deceiving you.
Right.
That's not the case at all. But all documentaries, if you really take a look at them, are presented from a particular perspective. They don't just lay out the facts, probably because it'd be boring as shit and nobody would actually watch them.
I don't know. Maybe Dark Dialogue should try.
Maybe, but I think we'd fail because I don't think that's what viewers want. And West Memphis 3, the Paradise Lost trilogy that we talked about on the last episode, it's no different. They had a perspective too. Their perspective was these boys were wrongfully accused. I happen to agree with that perspective, but regardless, it was a perspective. They definitely came at this at an angle, and I can't think of a single one that doesn't. Now, when you go to like true crime like shows, recurring shows like Forensic Files or FBI Files or I don't know, Cold Case Files, or apparently they all end with files.
They all? It's just files.
There's several of those that I think take a pretty unbiased approach and just kind of lay out the facts of the case, and here it is. And that's, I think, why they can do that in like a 30-minute show for Forensic Files, the original Forensic Files, or an hour-long episode for almost all the rest of them, because they don't really come at it from an angle. They just give you the details. When I say a documentary, I'm talking about like a full-length documentary, or in case of making a murderer, or The Staircase. That's another perfect example of this. Is where they come at this from an angle and they lay it out over hours. And in order to fill that time, you almost have to have an angle one way or the other. You're either proving this guy is guilty or you're proving this guy's innocent. And the Staircase is one that definitely deserves a place in Unraveled Truths. If you've watched that one?
Yeah.
And so just real quickly, we're not going to break it down or anything, but what are your thoughts on that? Is Michael, what's his nuts, guilty? Did he murder his wife, or was it owls?
My opinion, he did. Or he had something to do with it, at the very least. His hands are not clean, in my opinion.
I have such a hard time with that one. It's so much harder than making murderers for me.
Have two wives die the same way.
So Kathleen wasn't, I'm pretty sure it was Kathleen.
Wasn't a wife.
Wasn't a wife. It was their like family friend or whatever.
They were having an affair, supposedly.
Yeah, I don't know that was ever proved.
Okay.
But I'm not taking a side because I have a hard time with it too. I go back and forth on that one. Like, I don't know, maybe I think he did it.
And the blood's
maybe
bad.
Did it. Yeah, but then you have Dr. Lee that comes in and he lays out a pretty convincing case that it was from like coughing it up and shit. But anyway, we can't can't hash through a whole nother freaking series, but that's just an example of another one that I'm talking about like this. And there's a bunch of them, there's the Crystal Rogers one. There's the Jennings 8 one, which, I've talked about extensively. I've watched it a lot.
47,000 Murde ones that...
Oh, there's Murde, for whatever reason, that asshole is like the most popular criminal ever. And I don't get it. Like, he's just a
most
freaking...
criminal of 2025.
He's just a freaking crooked freaking attorney. I don't understand why... I don't understand it, but anyway, that's another one. So, but I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode of Unraveled Truths.
Before we go, can we just agree that the first Forensic Files voice was amazing and the next one's not so much?
Oh, 100%. Forensic Files, the original Forensic Files. Yeah. I love it.
Who is that guy? Because I would like to listen to him all day.
I'm pretty sure he passed away.
Damn it.
I'm almost positive that he passed away because I think that that was brought up with the Forensic Files 2 when it came out, that they would have gone with him again, but he had passed away. It's kind of like Robert Stack in Unsolved Mysteries.
Exactly.
And when they did the new Unsolved Mysteries,
exactly,
he had passed away, so he couldn't do it.
That guy's voice, though, I would almost, and this might get some hate, I would almost put better than Morgan Freeman's in a narration.
Robert Stack's or the Forensic
Files guy?
Yeah.
Like, it's...
He's
telling you the shittiest things, the most vile things, but it's so soothing to listen to his voice.
Yeah, he is so Yeah, his name was Peter Thomas.
Yes.
And
he did die, didn't he?
Yeah, he passed away. Let me see. He passed away in 2016.
Well, rest in peace.
Yeah, he passed away in 2016, but he was...
when I can find the original ones, I'm a happy girl.
Oh, they're all on Amazon Prime.
No.
And I don't know, I watch them with commercials because I don't subscribe to whatever they're on, so you have to put up with the commercials. Yeah. But I watch them. I watched all of the Forensic Files. I couldn't even tell you how many times, because when I was younger, that was the most exciting thing about staying in a motel, was I could watch Forensic Files and FBI Files, because I didn't have cable. So
I was just about to say, when I stay in a motel now, I seek it out because it helps me sleep.
Yeah, I mean, that's my big memory of like staying in motels when I was younger, is being able to watch Forensic Files.
How funny we are. Okay, well, I'll let you close. I got us off on a tangent again, but
no, I mean, it's good, and that's kind of one of the fun things about this show. So,
go and pay respect to the guy, man. He did well.
Oh, absolutely. He had an incredible voice. It was an awesome show, and it really was groundbreaking for the whole... Oh, absolutely it does. And really was groundbreaking for this whole era of true crime that we're in now. When Forensic Files came out, it was kind of the trendsetter.
Yeah.
It hadn't really been done before. You had Unsolved Mysteries, but that wasn't really a true crime series.
Yeah,
that was
teach you things.
Well,
and it was...
They focused on unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
So it could be aliens, it could be hauntings, it could be whatever paranormal shit. It could be cryptozoology.
Yeah.
It could be all of this different shit, where Forensic Files was really dedicated to true crime.
Right.
For the most part. I usually skip the episodes that aren't true crime, like the fires and the fog and that kind of stuff. There's a few of those episodes that aren't crime related, but not very many. But anyway, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoy these discussions. I do think it's important to note that these are not deep dives. We're probably going to get shit wrong because we're not running off of a script. We're just pulling out of memory.
Yeah.
We're just a couple of friends sitting down talking about true crime documentaries and shows
by memory
that we've enjoyed, and rather than sit here and talk without the microphones on, we just thought, hey, why don't we turn the microphones on and have these conversations? So, some of these cases, probably most of these cases, will find their way into our deep dive Dark Dialogue main show or Rocky Mountain Reckoning if they fit there. Eventually, they'll probably show up somewhere where we can really dive in and show all the evidence and really talk about all of the aspects of the case. But that's not this show. This is just us bullshitting about something that we saw.
I kind of feel like this invites people to, if we start talking about this before we get into the deep dive, if people know something that we don't know,
they can reach out to us, they can let us know, and so... But, I just don't want there to be any confusion when, somebody listens to this and they're like, that's not right. Yeah, it's probably not right.
Is it meant to be gospel?
Yeah, I mean, it is just us bullshitting. Honestly, that's really what it is. I do make it a point to, watch the shit beforehand, and you do too, so that we actually have it in our recall of what happened and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we're just working off of memory here.
Yep.
So, but... If you're
just entertaining.
But we're just entertaining. We're just having fun and recording it, essentially. So, but if you like this episode, if you like what we are doing here on this, then please share the episode. Give us a like, give us a follow, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell. Let somebody else know about this. If you think it's a lot of fun, let's spread the fun.
Leave us a comment if you know something we don't.
Yeah, comment. You can also email us at info@darkdialogue.com. You can find all of our shows at darkdialogue.com, our website where we have all of our shows showcased. And, we're available everywhere that you listen to your podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, we're on iHeart. We're everywhere. So, and each of our shows have their own channel. You can either listen at the Dark Dialogue Network channel where you can hear everything, or if you just want to binge Shadow Chats or just want to binge the main show, They all have their own channels. You can jump on there, you can follow those, and just binge everything that we've done on that particular platform. With that being said, if you want to support the show, you can do so with like a one-time donation on Ko-fi. That's KOFI.com, Ko-fi. You can buy us a coffee there, or you can support us on Patreon and take advantages of a lot of the additional content and information on Patreon, or you can subscribe to our Substack where we have all of the deep dive information and shit. If you're somebody that geeks out like we do over true crime, you can get on there and read all of the shit that has led to the creating of these episodes. And with that, if you don't have anything else to add,
other than wishing everybody stay safe, and I don't know when this is coming out, but happy holidays.
Yeah, stay safe. Happy holidays. Thanks everybody for listening.
Okay, love you. Bye.